Could you please refer to Unit 2 in the main textbook? We're going to look at a few things. Your classmates, the presenters, did not draw our attention to the content of this unit. As I said, they use another source, and they did not mention at all the guidelines mentioned in this textbook. So please open your books on page 54, Unit 2. I repeat that you should have a copy, a hard copy in front of you. So if you haven't done so, then please print out a copy and keep it in your hand with you. Reading from a textbook, a hard copy, is far better than reading from an electronic copy or on screen. You need to interact with the text. This is a textbook, not a story even, not a novel. A textbook, you need to interact with it. You need to chew it, to swallow it. All right, I am looking now. I am looking at page, all right, pages 54, 55. Your cameras should be on. Inferring meaning from the sentence, guessing or inferring meaning from the sentence. For a single word, the first step in inferring meaning is to figure out the part of a speech. And so the part of a speech is crucial to meaning. When you come across a word in a text, the first thing is to guess its part of a speech. And this can be easily done from the context again, using context clues. There are 9 word classes in English, 9 parts of a speech. These are, should I write them or just say them? Interact with me, please, be quick.
Can you write it, Doctor?
There are 9 word classes or parts of a speech in English. Whether you call them word classes or parts of a speech, they're actually parts of sentence. The translation parts of a speech is a wrong translation. It's actually a mistranslation. It's a translation from Greek. When English grammarians wrote English grammar, they depended on Greek grammar and Latin grammar. And so the term used in Greek is actually logiomoru, which means something like literally parts of a sentence. But the translators who translated this term hundreds of years ago, as I said, did a mistranslation. But this is not an issue now. So we can call them word classes, parts of a speech, parts of a sentence or sentence. Anyhow, in English there are 9. These are nouns, the class of nouns. I do not want to go into, the detail. This can be discussed in a grammar class. Nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, prepositions, determiners, conjunctions. Can you count them? How many are there now?
8.
And interjections, are they 9 now? 1, 2, 3.
Yes, sir.
All right. So any word in English, any word you come across is either a noun. If not a noun, could be a verb. Not a verb, an adjective, or an adverb, or a pronoun, or a preposition, or a determiner, or a conjunction, or an interjection. If you go to the dictionary, any word must be written or classified under one of these 9 word classes. If it give me any word and I will tell you the part of the speech. For example, car, it's a noun. Door, a noun. Eat, a verb. Lovely, an adjective. Friendly, an adjective. Stupidly, an adverb. Wow is an interjection. But is a conjunction. The or a or one or two or some or several, for example, are determinants. He, she, us, pronouns. In, on, at, of, prepositions. So any word in English must fall under one of these categories or word classes or parts of sentence, parts of speech. Sometimes, or not sometimes, in many cases, a word may belong to more than one part of a speech, and so having multiple membership class. If you look at the word around can be a preposition, around can be an adverb, around can be, or round can be a verb. If you look at the word bottle, can be a verb, can be a noun. Contact, a noun and a verb. Content, a noun, when pronounced as content. Content, an adjective. So some words belong to more than one word class. Now this is crucial for figuring out the meaning of a word. The part of speech is related to meaning. If a word is a noun, then you think of nouns. If a word is a verb, then you think of it as a verb, meaning action or a state of being. If a verb is an adjective, then it's a description, an adjective. If it's a conjunction, then it links to words or phrases or clauses or sentences. It's a linker. If it's an interjection, it expresses a strong emotion. Wow, ouch, pouch, etc., etc. If it's a determiner, then it specifies the referent. Whether the referent is, for example, a car. So specifies the number of the referent, determines the number of the referent. A car, two cars, two is a determiner. It determines the number of the referent. Some people came to the party. Some is a determiner. It determines or specifies the referent. Some people came to the party. So some is a determiner. People is a noun. Came, a verb. To, a preposition. Party is a noun. A preposition is a word that links to two nouns. For example, the mug on the table. So you have the mug and you have the table. On connects two nouns. The mug, the table. The mug on the table. So each part of your speech has a function, has a role to play in the sentence. Has a role to play in the sentence. Has a function or a job in the sentence. Think of the sentence as a machine. But not a machine to wash your clothes or a machine to refrigerate your foods, but a machine for communicating ideas. The sentence, metaphorically speaking. And think of the parts of speech as the parts of the machine. Every machine has parts. The engine of a car, a machine. It has many parts. It has many parts in it. If you know how to use these parts, you know how, then if you know the function of each part, the function or the job of the radiator, the function or the job of the reservoir, the function or the job of the carburetor, the function or the job of the... So a sentence is a machine, and the word parts are the parts of that machine. If you know how to use the parts, then you know how to use the machine, and so you can communicate effectively. Now when you come across a word, the first job is to figure out its part of speech. The context will help you to decide whether a word is a noun or a verb or an adjective or an adverb or any of these. The context will most likely help you figure out the part of speech. Once you figure out the part of speech, then, excuse me, can you look at page 55? 55. Look at the guidelines for inferring meaning from the sentence. The machine. The sentence, the machine for communicating ideas. If you come across a word that you do not know, then you need to know the part of speech to help you know the job of this part in the sentence. What is it doing? An adjective modifies, describes, modifies a noun. An adverb modifies a noun or a verb. Sorry, it modifies a verb or an adjective or an adverb. I have no time to exemplify this. Etc. etc. A name, a noun, it must be the name of a human being or the name, a person, the name of a thing, the name of a city. Like Malaysia is a noun. Where are we? So guidelines for inferring meaning from the sentence. Luke, read the guidelines please, number 1.
Number 1, for a single word, decide on the part of speech. For a phrase, decide on its grammatical function in the structure, in the sentence.
Alright, so if it's a word, try to decide the part of speech. As I said, the context will help you, and we're going to look at some examples now. If it's a phrase, then try to decide the grammatical function of the phrase, whether it's a noun phrase, a verb phrase, an adjective phrase. There are 5 phrases in English. 5 phrases: noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, prepositional phrase, and an adverb phrase. If I say, for example, if I keep exemplifying everything, we'll have no time. Look at this sentence in the chat column. The police searched the room carefully or thoroughly. Can you look at this sentence? This is a sentence. Please pay attention. Keep your camera on. The definition of a phrase, quickly. A phrase is a group of words. A group of words that lacks either subject or verb. What's the definition of a clause? A clause, if you can comprehend what I'm saying, a clause is a group of words that contains or has both a subject and a verb. So this sentence here, this simple sentence, is a clause. I think we talked about the clauses, independent clauses, dependent clauses, and simple sentences last week. A simple sentence is made up of an independent clause, meaning it has a subject and a verb. And the minimum number of constituents for a sentence in English, the minimum number of elements is a subject and a verb. If you have a subject and a verb, you have a sentence. Less than that, no sentence. It can be a phrase, for example. So, this is a clause, and it is a simple sentence. A clause is a group of words like this one: the police searched the room carefully. Is a group of words that has both a subject and a verb. So the subject is the police and the verb is searched. Now a phrase is a group of words that lacks either a subject or a verb, meaning you have only the subject or the verb. For example, in this clause, in this simple sentence, we have how many phrases? We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, in this clause we have three phrases. The first one is the police, and this is a noun phrase. A phrase is named after the most important word in it. A phrase is named after the most important word in it. So the most important word here is police. So this is a noun phrase. The police is a noun phrase. What is the writing? So the police, this is a noun phrase. The next phrase is search the room. Searched the room. This is a verb phrase. The most important word, the head word, is searched. And the last phrase is carefully. It's an adverb phrase. Carefully is an adverb phrase. We're going too much into grammar. So if it is a phrase, then try to determine the grammatical function of the phrase, whether it's a noun phrase like the police, or a verb phrase like search the room, or an adjective phrase, the lovely woman, anyhow, or an adverb or a prepositional phrase beginning with a preposition. Go to number 2, the guidelines, Luke.
Number 2, look at the other words in the sentence for clues, information about the meaning.
So after you figure out the part of your speech, which will help you figure out the meaning, you look at the surrounding, at the other words in the sentence. 3, think. Luke, 3, think about.
Number 3, think about the meaning and the structure of the sentence.
The meaning of the structure. 4,
make a guess about the meaning of the word or phrase.
5,
read the sentence again with your meaning in place of the word or phrase. Does it make sense?
Alright, so these are some of the guidelines. The most important one here is the part of your speech. There are other also tips to help you figure out the meaning of a word from the context. We mentioned them in reading skills, like the sound of the word, the source from which the text is taken. If it's, for example, if it's a medical journal, then the word most likely might be a medical term. So the source, the sound, how it sounds, can help sometimes figure out the meaning. And there are other tips. We might see them again if we have time today. Go to page 54, or forget about 54. Look at the practice A, bottom of page 55. For each underlined word, use the context to figure out the part of the speech or the grammatical function and infer the general meaning. Do you know the meaning of the word drenched? Does anyone know what drenched mean? Who knows?
Soaked or wet?
Do not tell me the meaning, but tell me if you know it or you don't. Adam, do you know the meaning of drenched? Yes or
yes.
no? Alright. Some might know drenched already, some might not know drenched. So look at this exercise at the bottom of page 55. Read the text and look at the underlined word. If it's new to you, try to figure out its meaning by first determining its part of speech and then looking at the surrounding words and blah 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 blah. Do it now. Clean angel, is the word new to you? Drenched?
Yes.
Do you know the meaning of the word drenched?
Yes. I know.
Who doesn't know? Does this mean that all of you know its meaning? Okay. If that's the case, then we move to, let's see, look at exercise 2. Flip the page. What about the dread? Who doesn't know the meaning of a dread? Amirul Haykal, do you know the meaning of dread? Yes or no?
Me?
Yes?
A feeling of fear?
I'm asking you to tell me whether you know it or you don't. Alicia, do you know the meaning of dread?
Yes, doctor.
So, if you look at the text, not all women love going to the shops and spending money. Some truly dread it. If let's say that this word is unfamiliar to you, so you want to figure out or guess its meaning, infer its meaning. So first of all, what's the part of speech we dread from the context? Some truly dread it. From the context, you can infer that the word is which part of speech? Its position in the sentence must be
Doctor, is it a word?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
No, I don't want you to ask me. I want you to be sure about your answer. Because
Then it's a word, doctor.
it is a verb. It is a verb, no other choice. It cannot be any of the other 8 parts of speech. The position of the word dread in this context is that of a verb, no other choice. Okay, if it's a verb, then you think of it in terms of a verb, not a noun, not a preposition, not some truly dread it. Now you look at the sentences before and after. The meaning, the words. Not all women love going to the shops and spending money. Some truly dread it, especially shopping for
Spending
clothes.
money means money of it.
Seems to bring out all their anxieties. Dread it. Anxieties. This lady was one of these. She needed to find something to wear to the reception, but she hated the thought of trying things on. Alright, so we can guess that the meaning of dread is not all women love spending, some truly dread, love dread. What could be the meaning of dread? So from the context, it is clear that dread means to hate. You have love, some women love, but some hate it. And you have the meaning again being reinforced by using the word hated at the end. But she hated the thought of trying things on. So even if you're coming across the word dread for the first time, you still can guess the meaning. All right. Can you look at 57? Page 57, exercise 5. Alicia, are you familiar with the word ranch? Here is the word ranch in the third column. Do you know what ranch is? Yes or no, Alicia? Adam, do you know the meaning of ranch? As a verb or as a noun? Do you know that it can be a verb and can be a noun?
Yes, doctor.
What about you, Alicia? Do you know this word or not?
It's a verb. It's like pulling with violin.
I don't want you to tell me the meaning, just whether you know this word already or no.
Yes.
As a verb or as a noun?
It's a verb. But it also can be a noun.
It can be a noun with a different meaning. So you
Yes.
know it. What about Aslan? Do you know the word ranch, Aslan? Have you come across it before?
Yes, doctor.
As a verb and as a noun? Alright, look at this exercise 5. Harold held tight to Maggie's wrist. She looked around the crowded street. Should she scream? She didn't want everyone looking at her, so she made a last desperate effort, managed to wrench herself free, and ran into a shop. First of all, what is the part of speech of wrench in this sentence?
A verb.
A verb. From the context, if you do not know the meaning, you still can figure out or guess or infer the meaning. So to wrench here most likely means, general meaning, to Harold held tight to Maggie's wrist. She managed to wrench herself free. Harold held tight to Maggie's wrist, but she managed to wrench herself free. So she managed to wrench herself
out.
to
Wiggle herself out. Shaking.
all right, so she managed to release, she managed to get her out, as let's say Luke said. So you can figure out the meaning. Okay, now we're going to look at a word. Most likely you haven't come across it. I want you to come across a word that you haven't heard, because I want you to see if you can figure out the meaning, and you should. Have you come across the word trough? Look at trough in the chat column. Do you know the trough? Does anyone know what the trough is? Most unlikely. Okay, you can look at exercise 2, number 1. First of all, decide the part of a speech of a trough. So, Joyce, can you read exercise 1? Eliezer, can you read exercise 1? No matter?
Alright. No matter how thirsty it is, a horse that has been used to drinking out of a pond or a stream will often refuse water out of a trough.
Okay.
This is especially...
Okay, carry on.
Carry on?
Yes.
Okay. This is especially true if other animals have drunk from it, or if the water has been sitting there for some hours or days.
So first of all, do you know the word trough? Have you come across it before, Eliezer?
Just now, yes.
So not before. All right. And I suspect that most of you are seeing it for the first time. Okay. Now, have you managed to figure out its meaning First of all, what is the part of speech of a trough? What could it be a preposition or a conjunction? Is it a verb or an adjective? From the context, what's the syntactic or grammatical position or function? What could it be?
Is it a noun?
Do not tell me is it, because you shouldn't have doubts.
It's a noun.
It is a noun. Because if you when you think of the part of a speech, try to replace the word with another. For example, or a pond or a stream will often refuse water out of a. If we want to replace it, it must be a noun. Out of a trough. Okay, a noun. Now looking at the words surrounding a trough, who can figure out the meaning of a trough? Do not go to your dictionary. What could be the general meaning? What is the general meaning of a trough? You should be able to figure out the meaning, to guess it from the context. No matter how thirsty it is, a horse used to drinking out of a pond or a stream will never drink out of a trough. So we have a pond or a stream, and we have a trough. A horse used to drinking from a stream will refuse to drink from a trough. What could be a trough?
A container of water.
And the other sentences, by the way, so a trough must be like a container, a bucket, something from which animals drink, from which horses and maybe animals drink or eat. The general meaning. It is something from which a horse can drink. So you can work out the meaning. And this is the meaning of a trough. If you look it up now in the dictionary, you will find a similar meaning. A box, a container, a bucket, something, you can imagine it, in which there is water or maybe fodder for the horse or animals to eat or drink from. There are many exercises. Please at home go through them to sharpen your ability to work out the meaning from a text based on these guidelines. Figure out the part of speech, look at the surrounding words, think about the function of the word, and most likely you're gonna arrive or guess the meaning. Do not rush to your dictionary. Guess, and then you can confirm your guess later. But we need you to build up this ability to infer the meaning from context. Do not be dependent on the dictionary 24 hours. Use it to confirm your guess. If you have time, fine. And to make to learn the word. Luke, can you look at page? So there are many exercises. If you flip the pages. Adam, do you know the word pittance? It's in the chat column. Have you come across pittance before? Yes or no?
Yes.
You are not the right choice. Lavinia, have you come across the word pittance before? It's in the chat column.
No, doctor.
No. All right. I want you to look at page 60. You and the rest, page 60. Adam, since you've come across this word before, what is the part of speech of pittance?
It's a noun, I believe.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The
Impress me. Kill me.
the king donated a small amount of gold to the villagers
All
as
right.
pittance.
Very good. I am impressed. You don't have to continue because from the context I know that you know the meaning now. All right. Let's get back to Lavinia. Lavinia, page 60. Look at exercise 5. Here is the word pittance for you. I want you now to go through this context and to tell me the general meaning of pittance.
I think that pittance is a small amount of money used to
Have you read the context?
yes.
Read the context first. Read it for all of
Okay.
us.
The men who worked in the fields picking tomatoes had to labor very long hours and were paid a pittance. They were also forced to live in horrible conditions, but since they were illegal immigrants, they didn't dare go to the police to complain.
Okay. So what could be the general meaning of pittance? First of all, is it used as a verb or as an adjective?
A noun?
Neither a
A
verb,
noun.
neither a
Yeah,
verb, nor an adjective. Cannot be. It must be a noun. I agree. Okay. Now the general meaning.
The general meaning, I guess it means it is a small amount of money
Brilliant.
used to
Full stop.
assist.
Brilliant. You see, here's a live example. Lavinia, and I suppose many others also do not know the word pittance or did not come across it before, has come across pittance for the first time. She figured out the meaning correctly and easily, also effortlessly, from the context without going to the dictionary. If you now consult your, okay, now Lavinia, consult your dictionary and tell us the meaning. Look at the word in your dictionary. You have said it's a small amount of money. Confirm your guess in the dictionary. Yes? You don't have a dictionary, Lavinia? Alright, anyhow, this is the meaning. If you look it up, you will find that your guess was correct. Lavinia, let me ask you another question. Look at the same text. Can you read it again? The man?
The men who worked in the fields picking tomatoes had to labor very long hours.
Enough.
And
Excuse me. Had to labor. Labor. Are you familiar with the word labor?
Yes.
What's the part of the speech of labor?
Verb.
In general, not in this context. In this context, it's a verb. In general.
Noun.
Noun and the verb. And what does it mean?
It means hard work.
As a noun. And as a verb?
As a noun.
Fine. You haven't got me, but it's okay. You've got... Okay. When I rang him yesterday, he was extremely busy. He said that his wife was in labor. What does labor mean in this sentence? His wife
She's
was
giving birth.
in labor. Yes, giving birth. The act of giving birth in labor. Labor, so another meaning, and labor as a noun. All right. Let's have Noor Azri. Noor Azri, can I see you? Noor Azri, or something like that. All right. He decided to fast and not to speak. Who can we take? Who can we take? Let's take Vinosha. Vinosha. Hello. Sleeping. Shazana. No Shazana. Quick. No Shazana. You see, these guys are not in the class. They are not in the class. Okay, let's take the big boy. Vikram.
Come again, doctor?
Hi, Vikram.
Hi.
Vikram, can you see this word in the chat column?
Wait, let me take another look at it.
Can I write it?
God. Yeah. I've come across the word before.
Okay, a prayer. What about you? Quick, prayer. She wants to take her favorite dog to the toilet. Okay, Luke, what about you?
Yep. Yes.
Come across. I want someone who did not come across it. Let's take Harith Burns. Harith, come on. Okay, I think you've got the idea anyhow. So if you look at the word thwart as it is in exercise 5.1, number 1, first you figure out the meaning and the part of speech, and by looking at the words surrounding it, you should be able to guess or infer the general meaning. So please, when you come across a word, resist your temptation to jump to your dictionary and look it up. First, try to figure its meaning out. You need to build up this ability. And looking at now look at page 62, please. 62. Inferring meaning from a passage. When you are reading, you sometimes need to look at larger pieces of text for clues to the meaning of a word or a phrase, to go beyond the sentence. In this section, you will find exercises for practice finding clues in the context of a longer passage. So sometimes the meaning of a word depends on the larger context, not the immediate context, the sentence. Luke, can you go through the guidelines for guessing meaning from a passage? Page 62.
Number 1, decide on the part of speech or grammatical function of the word or phrase. Number 2, look at the words close to it. Number 3, think about the meaning of the sentence and the topic of the passage. Number 4, look to see if the word or phrase is repeated in the passage. Number 5, look for synonyms or opposites. Number 6, look for an explanation or definition of the word or phrase, especially in a textbook. Number 7, make an inference about the meaning. And number 8, read the sentence again with your inferred meaning in place of the word or phrase. Does it make sense?
Alright, where are we? Can you look at exercise 6, guys, now? Food technology. Go through the text on your own. Excuse me. Where is the chat column? Where is the chat column? Does anyone know the meaning of the word facade? The chat column. Has anyone come across facade before? Emblematic. Emblematic. Let's ask the big guys. Vikram, Adam, Luke, have you come across emblematic before?
No,
All right.
I haven't, Doctor.
You haven't. You will come across many words in the future. Okay, now that at least some of you haven't come across emblematic or any other words in the list on page 63 under C. Now I want you to read the text, food technology, and if any of these words in C is new to you, see if you can figure out the meaning from the passage. Sometimes sometimes you cannot figure out the meaning of a word in the sentence itself. You need to read the larger context. Read and tell me what you think emblematic is. Alright, so the word emblematic is in the second paragraph, the line before the last. First of all, what's the part of the speech of emblematic? The word emblematic, what's the part of your speech? Do you think of the word emblematic? Or if the word facade is new to you? Oh, I was talking while the mic was off. I'm saying that the word emblematic is in the second paragraph, the line before the last. What is the word? What is the part of his speech of the word emblematic? Or if the word facade is new to you also, first paragraph, third line from the bottom. What's the part of his speech? I chose Colorado Springs as a focal point for this book because the changes that have recently swept through the city are emblematic of those that fast food have encouraged throughout the United States. Emblematic. Is it a noun, a verb, an adjective, a preposition?
An adjective.
It must be an adjective. Its position, syntactic position, is that of an adjective. Now think of it then in terms of adjective. So, sometimes the meaning of a word is not clear in the sentence, so you need to go beyond the sentence. So you need to read the beginning of the paragraph maybe. In the fast food restaurants of Colorado Springs, I chose Colorado Springs. Why? Because the changes that have recently swept through the city are emblematic of those that fast food have encouraged throughout the United States. Can anyone guess the meaning? General meaning? What other word can we put in its place? What other adjectives can we use that might give us a hint of the meaning?
Resembles.
I want you to give me an adjective. Because it's an
Symbolic.
adjective. Are you sure you did not know the meaning of this word before, or have you just looked it up?
I just looked it up. After I think.
No, I didn't want you to look it up. I want you to first work out the meaning without looking it up. Because symbolic, you've got that's the exact meaning then. So representative of try to build up your ability to guess before you go to your dictionary. Please work through the exercises in this book, in this unit. This will give you some, will give you an opportunity to develop your guessing ability. On page 65, exercise C, the last word, 10, look. L-U-R-K, look. This is the last word in exercise C on page 65. So whether this word is new to you, unfamiliar or not, so whenever you come across a word in a context, then please try to guess its meaning from the sentence and the surrounding sentences, if the sentence is not enough. This is what native speakers do. No native speaker has a dictionary with him or her, and no native speaker knows all the words in his language or her language. And even if someone has come to a point where he has memorized the dictionary of which year, which edition? Because next year will be more words added to the dictionary. So you still need to develop the ability to guess the meaning. Of course, there are two ways to guess the meaning. One is the context, what we are looking at now. The other way, or strategy, is to look at the word parts, and this will be the discussion of next week. Trying to work out the meaning from the morphology or the internal structure of the word. So you have two methods actually, and so most likely, if a method doesn't work, the other will work. In rare cases, it might be, in rare cases really, you might not be able to work out the meaning. Meaning that these two strategies will not work out. In rare cases. So in most cases, whether you figure out the meaning from the context, by figuring out the part of the speech, and or word parts, or both, they can lend support to each other. And as your vocabulary grows, this ability, by the way, will be better. With more vocabulary, your ability to guess will be improved. So more about vocabulary and ways to determine the meaning will be in the next class. But our focus will be the word itself, not the context. So today we've looked at there is no time to present, but let's go entire screen. Strategies for lexical comprehension, understanding, words understanding, and expansion, how to expand your vocabulary. Context clues and contextual analysis today. So, the meaning of a word in a language is determined by its morpheme structure, the word parts, and context. Today we're looking at the context. Next week we're going to look at the morpheme structure or word parts. So contextual analysis, you look at the surrounding context to work out a word, to work out what a word means. First you need to consider the part of the speech, as we said. Part of the speech, whether a word is a noun, a verb, an adjective, etc. Look at the context surrounding words, and sometimes the larger context surrounding sentences. The sound sometimes of a word may help. The sound, so you pay attention to the sound, and the source from which the word, the article is taken. In addition to the clues that your classmates mentioned, like antonyms, synonyms, definitions, etc., etc. Next week we're going to talk about the other strategy, and that is internal structure of word or word parts. Word parts. I have a number of useful educational videos that I would like you to watch. Excuse me. I will upload my slides, but without the videos, since the videos cannot be uploaded, the slides. But I will keep the title of each video so that you can copy the title or write it in the in Google or YouTube to look for the video and watch it or download it. So you won't see this video, but I'll keep this title. And similarly, if you look at the other videos, so you just copy the title. For example, I'll do it now. Copy, and you go to the to YouTube. You go to YouTube. You paste it, and here is the video. So
vocabulary is something everybody says is very important. I'm sure you've heard this before.
All right, now we do not have time to watch these, but as I said, I will WhatsApp. Sorry, I will. What is the? I will send you the slides with the titles of each video. Copy the title in Google and look for the video. You may want to download it and watch for more tips and ways to help you figure out the meaning from the context. All right, guys. That's it, or that's all for today. This what time can allow us. Otherwise, I still have things to say, but we do not really have now time. Thank you for attending. We shall meet next week. Remember that next week we're going to deal with another way to guess the meaning or infer the meaning of unfamiliar words, and that is word parts. So this is unit 3 in the textbook. So please, the presenters and everyone else, prepare, look at the unit in advance. Spend 1 hour, 2 hours to look at the unit in advance, whether you are the presenter or not. This will help. Until then, I wish you a great time. See you next week. All right? God bless you. I will upload the slides immediately after the class. As I said, you can watch the videos, please. I will leave the titles in the slides. Copy, paste, watch, enjoy, have fun, and pray for me. Pray for me, not against me. Okay? Thank you. See you.
Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Have a great day, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Have a nice
Thank you.
day.
Thank you, Doctor. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. I have finished.